Running Sentences presents Pirates, Politics, and Potentially Treasure. Book 1, Part 10. War is Breaking. As lines are drawn and the field of battle begins to take shape, the rush for treasure continues, with most people, aliens, ignoring the signs of war. This story is written and narrated by Michael Honore. It is a work of fiction. Any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations within this story are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, real situations, events, characters, businesses, and/or fictional ones is purely coincidental. Copyright 2023, Michael Honore. All rights reserved. Utility watched from the desk in his presidential office as the message of war scrolled across the screen once again. Sitting on the other side of his desk were the aliens formerly known as Evok and Zol, both with new bodies and faces. Well, we now have perfect reason to go hunting for treasure, and it's all thanks to stupid pirates and the Grogians thinking bad things, as well as planning bad things, I suppose. He looked at the two who didn't speak and didn't seem to trust that they were actually where they were. Yes, I haven't given you much to talk about here. Let's start with your new names, shall we? Zol, you are now known as Demon Dron, and former President Evok, you are Keeper the Wise. Excellent weird names that will draw looks, but no one shall ever question them, because why would you ever question names? Anyway, what do you think of that? It's stupid. It's gonna lead to confusion. Oh, nonsense. You've had a chip installed in your brain that will set you on the right path when it comes to your names. It will not lead to any confusion inside your minds. Maybe outside, but who knows? And as for who you are and your new identities, are former mercenaries for hire who were born on one of the many asteroids out in the galaxy. Your history is lost to time. A perfect solution that even your little brains couldn't mix up with or without a damned chip. Neither was paying much attention as they were getting used to their new humanoid-like bodies. They were humans for the most part, except the dull grey skin and eyes that were set wide apart almost to the sides of their faces. What will you have us doing, by the way? Oh, get aboard one of our cruisers that is now set to go on a peacekeeping patrol. We need to stop that war from getting any more dangerous and from actually kicking off. And, well, you are both inside Grogian space. We get to poke around a bit and find that treasure, okay? And you really think that will work? Backed up by a fleet of ships, maybe not galactic, but yeah, it will work unless they want war. You don't shoot the galactic president out of space, do you? They want war. You're walking right into what they want. Unable to hide his grin, Utility turned to the former president, giving him a good look over. The air of distrust was strong with him, but of course, he was a simple alien who didn't consider all angles of situations and went straight ahead with whatever plan they had. I think you're quite mistaken on that front. You and your vice president wanted that, and you gathered a group to follow you. That was not the will of your people, though, and a new election on Grogian soil is pointing towards a loss for your faction, as it is being organized. Right now, I believe. You lie. With a wave of his hand, Utility made a screen pop up before Keeper, who could see the stats, figures, and the live feed from the talking heads on the news about the numbers on the Grogian Empire side. They all looked bad for his party, and it was a direct feed from the Grogian planet. The doors to the lobby of the pirate embassy flew open as an angry Tullis and Nero stormed their way in. Cordite had been expecting this and moved his work of communication to other governments down into the lobby. He was in the middle of talking to the governor of the Bulbous State, a group of planets that had joined together to make themselves more powerful. They were sitting across from him as the other two came in. Cordite offered a glance and signaled that Francis and Mort should intercept the two while he finished up. What can we do for the representatives of the Grogian Empire? The words were out of Francis's mouth before he'd even gotten up from his seat. The two royals stopped, glowered for a moment, but would allow themselves to be led off to the side by the two pirates who were now fully standing and pulled them away. We need to know what is going on, and why you're claiming that it is our side that is stopping people. Francis fixed them with a stern look while Mott interjected. Your race has always tried to stop people at the borders of your space between the galaxy and what you defined as your space. It is supposed to be an open area. Yes, but an all-out attack on a cruiser? We're looking into it and trying to find out what we know. As far as we can tell, what we have released to the world is the truth. Is this because we gave you those maps? If an attack happened near the border, then no, it is not because of the maps, Tullus. Cordite now joined them as the diplomats from the Bulbous scurried away out the door, not wanting to get caught up in this news. Also, why do you two care so much? I thought you didn't like your government and all it has done to you. A chance for a fresh start might await you if things go your way. Yes, but so many of our people might be dead now because of the actions of someone who attacked us. We cannot control death, or who it comes to. I will try and mitigate it, but the galactic government and your government seem to want death to come, and some pirates as well, I guess. No, we do not want death. Somehow factions within all three parties seem to want it for some reason. You mean treasure, Miss Tullus? Sure, fine, that, as your doctor says, that is causing this rift and is now spilled into violence. Yes, and we have to pick up the pieces and lay blame somewhere. The easiest spot is going to be at the border, where there's supposed to be free travel, unless there is a checkpoint. A Navy cruiser is not a checkpoint, is it, Francis? No, Captain, it is considered a hostile ship. Only a space station or an asteroid base are considered places to stop and announce your intentions when entering areas. Otherwise, space is free to fly through. Cordite tried to offer an assuring look, though he wasn't sure he knew how to do that in a convincing manner. The prince and princess didn't seem to be looking at him either, so it sort of went by the wayside. We offer you our sincerest apologies that blood has been spilled, but with the way things were going, it does seem that was going to happen regardless of what we did. Tullus then took 2 steps towards Cordite, pushing past his 2 associates. That is not enough. The ambassador is demanding compensation for this and a new press release to be issued claiming it was all the pirate's fault. Is he demanding that? I can't give it to him without further information that something has actually happened and that was the cause of it. I'm sorry, but right now I can give you nothing. I told you this was pointless, Tullus. They're pirates. They also saved us from death aboard an escape pod. The least we can do is hear them out, brother. Well, we heard them out, and they offer us nothing but words. Yet your ambassador wanted words to soothe things over. It is words that apparently make governments work. Oh god, I'm suddenly starting to sound like a politician. I hang around these types often enough, and it happens. I will offer a solution that may help, though. A joint venture from the Grogian Embassy and our group to go out to the incident and find out what's happened. And how would that help, Mr. Francis? You have the 2 parties working together, showing the greater galactic world that things can be set aside for the betterment of both groups. Who would you put on this trip? Francis then pointed towards Cordite and Tullus, who both looked surprised at this appointment. You can assign anyone you'd like, but the head of the pirates of the embassy and a princess would send a message of cooperation and peace are an option. It could also be you, Mr. Nero, but that's up to you, I suppose. There was a lot of hesitancy at this suggestion, which no one seemed to want to take on. To Ophelia, standing on the bridge, studying the dots of various ships on the radar, it was all too quiet. Some of these ships were hurrying towards treasure, while the others were groggy naval ships trying to stop any of them from getting too far in. The flying squirrel, however, was stopped and invisible and trying to avoid being detected. This because they had accidentally stayed in the area for moments too long, and then the groggy navy had showed up, meaning escaping unnoticed was a bit questionable at times. "What happened, Captain?" She looked over the radar tech who had spoken up. She'd watched the sudden fleet of the Grogians appear out of nowhere as well. It didn't bode well for anyone to see them. "They were probably waiting for something to happen, if I had to guess. If we're lucky, they will be told to stand down soon." "Will that happen?" "Probably not. Elm, keep us moving at a slow pace towards the nearby wreckage. We will use that to obscure us some more." "Aye." A shudder ran through the space as the boat began to move as quietly as possible. All eyes were glued to screens or to the windows, looking for anything that was just wrong. They wanted to be the first to see it if they were to notice anything with this sudden movement. A pulse of a few seconds passed, with nothing occurring from any of the naval fleet who were busy stopping other ships. "Keep an eye on them. We will not be out of their sight for very long." "Two ships moving in our direction. Not fast like they've spotted us, but towards the wreck, I suppose." "Spotted and understood. Keep track and watch for anything else." She stepped back to look over the bridge. It was all quiet, and there was nothing to achieve here other than to distract anyone from doing their work. They knew it, they knew their jobs, and none would risk fucking it up with their lives on the line. "Keep it up. You need me. You know where to find me." There were a few hand waves, but no one offered a word otherwise as she paused at the door. She was trying to figure out why she'd paused as she took in a sweeping view about the place. Something felt distinctly familiar, like she'd been through this before. What or where was it that was causing this problem, though? "Captain?" "Yes?" "Wonder if you got something more to say. You gotta look to you like you've seen a ghost." She nodded. It felt like she had, but there was nothing to say or put to this feeling that she was having. Then the thought struck her. Easy. "Has this, in your opinion, been easy? Too easy?" "What do you mean? How do you mean? Destroying a ship with our big guns has always been easy. That no one is firing upon us or has seen us is a bit surprising. You did say that things were going to be a bit weird here, though." Still studying the view from the bridge that gave quite the sight lines to open space, she frowned. They should be spotted, and easily. The cloaking tech they had was at least a generation behind what some of the advanced planetary systems had, and the Grogians always had prided themselves on announcing new technology. "I don't think we should wait here anymore. It feels like we are waiting for bad to fall upon us, and fire engines to full burn. We should have been spotted already, and the only reason they haven't done something is they were waiting for us to do something stupid." An alarm sounded throughout the ship as the bridge followed her orders. "We are in the middle of some sort of trap. Be careful of anything and prepare to jump to unknown coordinates." She said this into the speaker system as the busy work of aliens began buckling themselves in, and the alarm shifted in tone. There was a flash of light, and it looked like one of the naval cruisers was now moving in closer towards them. There was also smoke streaks coming off of the Grogian ship. "Inbound missile strike!" The streaks of smoke began rapidly approaching, with the smoke eventually coming to a stop, but the missiles continually rushing towards them. "Jump is in 10 seconds, Captain." "How are the shields?" "Down because of the cloak." "Is there enough time to get them back up?" "They are coming online, but one missile might break through if it's lucky." 3 seconds to jump." All they could do was watch and wait as the blue dome blossomed around the ship, with several impacts sending off waves. Each alien in the bridge of the ship grabbed a hold of something as 2 booms sounded, and everything shook. Cordite and Tulis found themselves reluctantly on the tarmac of the spaceport. For some reason, when the plan of visiting the site had been announced to not great fanfare, except to one person. President Utility had instantly jumped at the news and contacted both parties, offering to fly them out. This was on the condition that he join them and that they use his ship. There was no way to say no to this, and both stood there awaiting the arrival of the President alien. I still don't like this or trust this idea. Francis has the best intentions in the world. He's seen more than most and doesn't want any more fighting. Tulis looked at him from under the hood she was wearing to shield herself from being seen and from the light rain that had taken to falling. It was not a pleasant look, and she didn't intend it to be one. No, he would need to know that his place was far lower than hers in the hierarchy of life, since he was simply a pirate and getting in her way. I meant pirates in general. The idea of things they do go against every rational thought. Well, that's probably true. We don't tend to do things most aliens would do. Most of us, though, are just trying to get by day to day, with regular jobs, like scavengers. But out in space, where few actually want to work. There was a little sigh of frustration from her. If only this was all just a little bit easier to explain. You still don't understand me. Take yourself, for example. You sent me back to my empire when you captured or rescued us, whichever you prefer, I suppose, but other pirates would have auctioned us off as slaves. How am I supposed to trust you or pirates when you do so many different things? I could say the same about most aliens and governments. They tend to take whatever they want and then do whatever they want with it. A vehicle had made its way onto the tarmac and headed towards them, with both of them looking over it and falling quiet until it arrived in front of them. There was another car behind it, a van-looking-like object, keeping pace but a little bit further back. When both cars had come to a stop, President Utility popped out as the first with a broad smile. I have fresh news. What is it this time? The ship that the Grogians claim attacked them is now being chased across space. How is that good news? There was a pause, a frown, and a thoughtful head cock from the President. It's good news to the Grogians? He pointed towards Tulis. It might be, but I would rather the ship be brought to justice with everyone alive. That, dear lady, is unlikely to happen. Two figures had clambered out of the back of the other vehicle and were guarded well by a trio of plain-clothed aliens that sort of blended into the area, though the guards made no effort to hide the fact that they had heavy weapons on them. This is supposed to be a simple job of going to see the site. What is with them? Prisoners or something? What are you doing, Utility? Oh, those two fools who made a promise to help us out. They need guards for that? Well, I must protect all resources, big and small, from threats that we perceive. I think they might be a threat, and they might be under threats. So, I'm protecting them. I'm urged to ignore the sudden appearance of two special aliens. There was a grin from the President as he began walking off towards the ship that would take them to the battle cruiser. You can be suspicious of them all you want, but stay away if you want to keep your hands and feet, please. Cordite studied the two figures who began following the President towards the ship, both looking away, shielding their faces as they went. He got the feeling that they were someone he knew, but with new bodies and such. It made a sinking feeling go through his body as they hurried along, and after a moment, he and Tulis would follow. Miss Tulis, can I ask something of you? Please, you can call me Tulis, and I guess. Who do you think those two are? She pointed towards the two slinking off after the President, though they threw an occasional look backwards. I don't know who they are. Someone I should know. Two people were executed, and now we have two following Utility around. It's rather convenient to have them show up. That I would not put past the galactic government to do something like that, but we have no proof, and we were told to stay away. Yes, and we should stay away, but it's something to keep in mind, and I am definitely going to stay away from them because who knows what they will try while being government lapdogs. Tulis looked over Cordite for a second with a shake of her head. They were nearly upon the transport that was set to bring them up, but he had stopped a few feet short. You are something, suspicious of everyone and everything. How have you survived without your own crew throwing you off your ship because you're suspicious of them? Everyone suspects everyone of something, and the only way to stay alive is to play the game of fake trust. After you, by the way. He signaled that she should go aboard first, which she took the first few steps up the gangplank. Don't think I don't know that you're up to something. Don't involve me with whatever crimes you're planning. I'm watching you as much as I'm watching what's going on around me. So you are very similar to me, then, and that's a grand solution. I would advise, though, that you want to try and watch everything. It's rather dizzying to try to keep track of everything. It will lead you to lose track of all that you know. Oh, look at you, full of advice, and there is little I can actually do with advice, since I can't trust you, apparently. She then turned and hurried aboard, no longer wanting to deal with Cordite or whatever he was going to say next. It was infuriating how he always seemed to have the potential solution to the problem that they were having. The morning had gone by with a steady nothingness happening for Queen Strand. She stood in her bedroom dressed in her simple sleeping clothes that were of the finest materials, since she couldn't be seen in actual simple clothes. Her maids and workers were fretting about the place, trying to keep her pleased and showing her various papers that needed to be signed for some reason. She hated this work, but apparently it needed to be done so that the government could say that they were doing things. What, by the way, is going on with our border? It is of little importance, Your Highness. Our navy has the ship on the run and will soon shoot them down. If I think it is important, then it is. Don't tell me what isn't. What happened and why? There was a pause and quite a bit of face contortion from the worker, which Strand noted in the nearby mirror, without actually looking at her, since looking directly at an assistant would only cause problems when she wanted answers. People generally did not like direct looks at them, and there was also some stupid rules about not looking at royalty, which had their advantages from time to time. This time, though, she needed an answer. From what I understand, we have a ship near the border to look after it. Then they spotted a flock of ships headed towards them. Then, boom, they blew up, and the rest of our fleet went to see what happened to them. The worker seemed quite pleased to have managed to say all of that. And why has this been kept secret by the government? Well, it's not much of a secret. I think most people know about it, but don't want to talk about it, ma'am. Then something is amiss, since I and the king are supposed to be kept in the loop about all that has happened. I suppose this is why the party in power is suddenly finding itself losing the election. There was a shrug from the worker, who sorted through a bunch of papers looking for one. They came up with one and triumphantly put it before the Queen. I think that's why they have proposed this. I knew I saw it somewhere in the pile and thought it was a strange bill. The Queen picked up the 10-page stack of papers and read the official title of the bill. This is a bill organizing and reorganizing the state government and politics. Yes, the title is a bit straightforward, but reading it says that the election can't be held right now. Why would they say that? I don't think they want to lose power, but to be honest, that is only my thoughts on the matter. Queen, I'm not entirely sure if it is true or not, ma'am. The Queen pushed her chair back to allow her to stand up. This would not do at all in her mind, and would have to be addressed. She would have stormed out of the bedroom, except the door was opened by one of the king's men, and then came Valance himself. Darling. Perfect timing. The government is against us. Aren't they always? What is it this time? They are trying to block an election and force through other things. She moved over to her husband, giving him a polite peck on the cheek with her lips. This drew gasps from the collection of workers, who were unused to seeing such things. Royals and public displays of anything were considered taboo and not for consumption by anyone other than the royals. Please, you're royals. What is the problem? We shouldn't see you act so unregal. Worker, a peck on the cheek barely raises to the level of drama or unseeable by aliens. We really should take back the laws of this land. That would lead us to the Congress trying to grab more power, unfortunately. Don't think we want that yet. Well, what can we do? I think I have a good idea that will help us out, or at least distract a few of the loudmouth political idiots. With a brush of her hand, the workers and the staff all scurried away from the Queen, so that they were not within hearing range of this talk. Still, she frowned. The Congress would probably hear about this soon, so they would need to be quick. What exactly do you plan on doing? The Galactic Government President will soon be in the area. Why not invite him to come see our planet? Invite a stranger to our home. And to the government buildings. The fools in power have been planning things without us, especially the former president and vice president. Let's one-up them with a few surprises and maybe grab back some of that power while no one is looking, eh? The two got close to one another, their arms wrapped around, as they were lost in their moment in holding one another. It did not last long as a worker from before stepped up and cleared their throat. Sir, madam, and, you have a guest. Who is it? Your children? Which ones? The worker offered a shrug, and the children were mostly kept out of sight and rarely talked about in public. Privately, it was a different matter, and they were well known, at least amongst the permanent castle staff. The Queen looked over at her worker Bethany, who shrugged. She was not one of the permanent workers, so she might not know anything. And how long had this worker worked here and not know names? Instead of asking, though, she shifted out of the grip of her husband and began heading for the door. Enjoying the rug under his feet, Vic marched about his congressional office. He had gotten the fastest transport back to the planet when he'd heard the news. Now back, all he could do was pace about his office, biting his lip. Rushing back had been a bad idea because the royals had changed things on him. He was supposed to be automatically become the president, but no. Stupid heads. They think they can do whatever they want with nothing coming back to bite them, at them. Oh, I will show them when all of this is settled. He stomped about a bit more to really get a feel for the rug and to vent. They were never supposed to stomp while on the rug, but there was no real room to stomp about. Since almost everything on this planet was covered in some sort of rug. So he was going to ignore that rule. He came to a stop when there was a beeping noise from his computer on his desk. With that going off, he hurried towards it, fearing a little rule breaking had been discovered. The screen flashed a few times with a signal from an unknown source. That was curious, since he wasn't sure who would be calling him at a time like this. Eventually, he hit accept. The screen flickered to a box that showed an interior of some sort of ship. Who is this? A cat-like womanly face appeared on the screen after a moment. Hello, I happen to need your help if you don't mind. I don't even know you. The face on the screen offered a cat grin with a twinkle in its eyes. You could, though, and I can help you out in your mess in return. Why would I even want that? You don't even know anything about me. Introduce yourself first. You are the soon-to-be former Vice President of the Grogian Empire, though it is not much of an empire, and a supposed hater of pirates, though I have enough contacts to know that you use pirates for all of your dirty work. No idea what you're talking about. Go away, miss. You want to stay in power, you need to make ships chasing my ship go away. This sent a shock, and made the Vice President stand up straight with a stiffened back. Was this the pirate that had attacked their navy? And now they were talking to him? And if anyone looked into this, or if they were recording this conversation for posterity's sake, since the government loved having records on everything, well, it was going to look bad on him. I refuse to do anything. If you don't help me, I shall call on the Pirate Kings, who will come storming down here, trying to engage everything and anything in battle. You would lose everything, which I doubt you want. He kept trying to think of a way out of this. a way to end the call with him sounding like he was on the right side of things, but the nagging thought in his mind told him that she was right. She would be able to keep him where he was, in power. I can't do much to help you if, and I say if, strongly, you don't know how to help yourself first. Oh, I know how to help myself, which is why I called you. By the way, a pirate bounty has been placed on your head. Might be able to help get rid of that as well, should these ships behind me disappear. To Vic, the last thing was but a momentary distraction. No bounty would ever reach him, let alone anyone think of getting close to this planet. No, helping this cat lady would not be good for him after all. No, I won't. Pirates will come. You're already here. What more could you actually do? I'm not afraid of your uselessness. Pity, but you better watch out then, since this was a one-time offer and those aliens behind you don't look terribly friendly. The screen clicked off of the live feed as Vic swung around to face two figures in well-pressed military uniforms. And these were ones that only were present within the boundaries of the castle where the royals called home. Sir, you are hereby requested on the grounds of the castle. Don't try to resist. What? Why? I don't want to go there, and you can't make me go there. The orders of the king and the queen give us permission to bring you there. No, they don't. Not here, not in a government building. Their rights and orders end at the edge of the castle grounds. The soldiers moved to grab it, though they were only a few feet away in the first place. How did you even get in here? The door is locked, and I heard nothing, and no touching me. I already told you your powers of authority do not work here. They each managed to grab an arm restraining Vic before he could do much. We came in through one of the windows. It's also how we're going out. If you don't want trouble, shut up and come with us. I will not. Why don't you listen to me? Orders are orders. Vic tried to pull away now as panic spread through him. This wasn't what he wanted at all, and they'd probably heard him talking to pirates. Listen to me. The congressional leaders told us you would say listen to you and to ignore it. What? Before he would argue much further, the soldiers began yanking him towards the windows. This took a couple of seconds, and they were soon out of the building. Cordite had settled into his cabin and decided to wait everything out there. The trip was to take 2 days, so there was no real need to go out. Besides, the president had warned him poking around was a bad idea, and sometimes it paid to listen. He sat on his bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for something to happen, because inevitably something would always happen, because nothing was going on. And as if on command, the door zipped open, in walked a figure, that one that looked like a stranger that utility warned him not to get to know. You're not wanted here, mister. They call me Keeper, the Wise. Yes, I questioned the wise bit, since you obviously know what the president wants, and it's for you not to be around me. Rules are meant to be broken. Mostly yes, right now is probably not the best time to be trying such things. What are you after? To know what you know about this expedition. Cordite eyed the figure warily, trying to take in the humanoid grey shape. There really wasn't much that stood out about them at all. It's a peacekeeping operation to examine the site of a clash between a groggy naval ship and a pirate ship. That is all there is to this. Really? Could be more, and I'm sure the president is planning for more, but that is the planet for the emissary of the Grogians and me. There was a frown, and the figure then stepped back and went out the door, with a deeply worried look on their face. The news hadn't been what they had wanted, apparently, but it was good for Cordite. The creature was gone, and so he couldn't get in trouble. He hoped, at least, and since he figured his room was probably bugged, so they would already know what was said. Though he also knew that the Galactic Empire were noted for ignoring things from time to time when it served their purpose, so ignoring what he'd said, or whether it got him into or out of trouble, was certainly within the realm of possibility. He didn't have much time to contemplate this when the door opened again, nearly making him jump. Why are you so jumpy? I've been cooped up in a room with little to do, surrounded by government officials who might not like me. I think I have the right to jump a bit. Duelist marched into the room and sat down on the bed beside him. I thought it had to do with the fact that I saw someone come out of their room a minute ago. Well, there is that too. What did you expect to happen at this location that we're going to, by the way? There was an explosion of something that felt like it rocked the ship. Everything in the room shook and threw them towards the floor. Something like that, though I don't think we are even close to anywhere where we might be attacked, which means... Another rumble shook the vessel. End of Book 1, Part 10 of Pirates, Politics, and Potentially Treasure. Thank you for listening.